Go live. Okay. Ah. I'm here. Okay. I do not know what happened with my streaming. It seems like everything has gone like slightly weird. Like Riverside has decided to make everything completely different. So that's fun. I don't know what's causing that to happen. But here we are. We have our stuff ready. And I have some things I want to show you guys. So, um, let's see. Inkscape. Let's get our positions up. I'm kind of happy with the spatial prepositions that we have right now. Um, I was toying with the idea of having one that means to fill something up, but I probably don't necessarily need that. Um, uh, One thing that is nice to do when you are conlanging is set yourself up to make a certain amount of whatever you're going to make and just say you're going to stick to that. And, you know, you can always have the freedom to go back and add some more things later, but you don't necessarily need to. But it's good to like get to a point where you can say, okay, am I covering every single possibility? No, but I am covering enough that I can reasonably derive other things from here with constructions. So it's it's a nice thing to have set up and then work out. Um, all right. Now, I want to also show, since we've made spatial prepositions, I've already started incorporating that into word building. So I needed a word for to see here. And I decided to say that a lot of the sensory words are going to be strictly intransitive. So, Gwen, hi Gwen. I don't know what could happen. Could have happened there. Okay. Okay. Anyway, we've got this. We've got. So, ichi means to see or to watch. And it can be used sort of intransitively this way. And now we've got, but if you want to say that you saw a thing, then you have to use the postposition agu. So, yeah. I have no idea. I don't know. Somebody having some trouble with a browser. Anyway, so we have agu, so nibel if agu kichicha. That means I saw the humanoids, right? You have to have this agu. So this is the humanoids. And then you have this agu, which is our from, right? And then here is I saw. I see perfective, actually. So that is the way that you express that you saw something, is you saw from it, right? And then I have ba. What's ba is toward, right? So if you use ba with it instead, ba means going towards, right? So that infers more intentionality. That means to look at something, to watch a particular thing. And then with kit is above. And we have this word, we have the word oversee in English. It's sort of the same as oversee. I imagine that dragons would yeah. I would imagine that dragons would come up with the same sort of structure, with the idea of they are flying over an area and looking over a broad area. I'm thinking a lot about what their senses would be. As aerial predators, they would probably be able to. They would probably have very, very good vision. So that's something that I need to get there. So okay, for the one person who was out, so I was just going over my verbs of perception, at least for like see and hear and smell, which I've made, are strictly intransitive. But you use a preposition. So you use the from preposition, postposition rather, the from postposition to indicate you saw a thing, right? You passively are looking somewhere and see something. With ba is towards, ba. So with ba, that means to look at something, to watch something, right? And then kit is above. So that is to watch over something, to sort of watch from if you imagine a dragon sort of flying around an area and looking down a wide area, that is what they do with the kit. So I have agabid if kit Grikichi. So go watch over the territory. Is the idea is this is a command to go out, fly around, and just like be a sentry and watch. This only works as this is basically the same meaning, the same structure and meaning as the English word oversee. It will not work the same as overlook, though. It doesn't have that second meaning. And then I did a similar thing with tag. Tag means to hear, and by itself, it just means to hear generally. With agu, it's you heard something, and with ba, it means you are listening to something. So tespa gutagja ik Tagchaik. I I had to listen to y'all. I had to listen to this is you plural. Um, and I'm not going to make these all um, completely, you know, seeing and hearing are a little bit different. Um, Now, I'll get into some world building stuff about dragon senses that make me think that like they probably have very good hearing and very good sense of smell, but they're still going to use them for different purposes. They're probably not going to have the over the with the above doing the same thing, because when you're up high in the sky, you're not hearing anything, right? You're not. That's not a big deal. Um, but I'm thinking of maybe a meaning for like under here or something. Here under something. What would that be? And then to smell, smell is very different, right? But that's also an intransitive. And then with aga, it's to smell a thing. And then with ya, so ja is in front of, and ape, ape is behind something. Then that is like actively sniffing things. I used that instead of a toward because you have to be pretty close to something to like actively be sniffing, right? In order to ensure that you are smelling the thing. Maybe I could have a toward for like sniffing the air, but no, I think probably that would just be um, if you're just sniffing the air, it's probably just if without if it would probably just be if without the any preposition, any other arguments added in, right? And then another thing that I started doing with them is you have a lot of times prepositions can get co-opted for derivational purposes. So when you have like words in English like inflame or um, submarine or supersede, well, those are all Latin prepositions that are added on. Those the prefixes in and en and super and sub. Um, uh, oh, don't worry about whose is better and whose isn't, Gwen. You do your version of Draconic your way. I'll do it my way, and we're all gonna just be having fun. Yeah. Um, so we've got the if is to smell, but anyway, back to what I was talking about. Anyway, so prepositions, postpositions can also be used derivatively, right? And shout out to Ketchbaja, who showed me how this would works in Hungarian, which is a good model. We have a language with initial stress that has postpositions, and those postpositions become derivational. And what he showed me is like in Hungarian, generally you have the the like noun and then postposition, and then you have an adjective suffix, which is nice because that helps me distinguish between just a sequence of noun and postposition and then versus a noun postposition compound that has added that is been being used as an adjective. So I had this ki suffix and I just sort of worked with it. I need some emotion words, so I decided to make a word for angry, which we have ipifaki, 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 which is Literally, this is fire or flame. This is under, and then I have the adjective suffix ki, right? Ipifaki, ipifaki, right? And I thought, okay, well, I also have a nominalizer gi, right? That's also kind of generic in meaning. I can use that. So we have ipifaki, ipifagi, ipifagi as anger. And then I thought I'd have some fun with this. Why don't we have a thing where we can have ga, which is our word for dragons. It's probably a little bit broader than just dragons. Maybe also includes like serpents or something. But let's say ipifaga, dragon that's under fire. So maybe an angry dragon, something like that, can mean a red dragon. Because I I I have not read a whole lot of like D&D lore about dragons, but I have gotten the impression that red dragons could be stereotyped as kind of like hot-headed. So this would be like a term for red dragon. I'm not sure how I'm going to actually name the different types of dragons. Um, I have done a little bit of research on that. Or just a little bit of work figuring out what will work for that. By I just went through the SRD and got this information. That I grabbed the wrong window here. About so there are. This is interesting. So there's black, blue, green, red, white. Those are the colors. So if we went with color terms for dragons, we would need to have these colors, which are kind of a weird set because we're distinguishing blue and green, but not red and yellow. But I mean, dragons could have different colors of perception than humans. So there may be other types that are different colors that people have homebrewed or something. And then we have bronze, copper, gold, silver, and I was looking at their stat blocks, just the stat blocks, and we see what their breath weapons are. The the metallic dragons all have this secondary status effect breath weapon, and tetrachromatic vision. It's possible. It's kind of there's I'd kind of be opening up a can of worms if I have them like able to see ultraviolet, because I would have to name colors that I cannot see, which is gonna be a little bit wild. But if I could find a way to represent that so I could understand that, then it might be kind of fun. Um, but in general, we'd have a couple of things. We have some dragons that are amphibious, meaning they can breathe water. They can breathe underwater. Okay. And those tend to be able to swim as well. White dragon can walk on ice. And that's the only dragon that can just walk on ice without any problem. All of the metallic dragons, the ancient ones, just the ancient ones can have like a free polymorph. And then the biggest thing is like yeah. Yeah, it's sort of I guess I'd have to build myself a chart that has like the color wheel plus the extra UV color in order to figure out all of the different states. So that's something for the future, not something we're working on now. And then the other thing is like all of the dragons have at least one speed beyond their base running speed and their flying speed. So a bunch of them can swim, and then there's three that burrow, that have a burrow speed, which is kind of wild. So apparently, like a blue dragon, a white dragon, or a brass dragon, they can all just dive into the ground and dig a tunnel. Um, and then red and copper have a climb speed, which I mean, I guess maybe if you're in tight quarters where you can't fly, maybe that's useful. So this kind of speaks to like the different environments they live in and the different kinds of like white dragons. I guess both swimming and burrowing could be helpful because you could like tunnel through the ice and into the water underneath if you are in like something similar to Earth's North Pole, right? Let me mute Discord for a second because I don't need that. I don't need that giving me notifications all the time. So that's some world building stuff that may come into play later as we're working on things. It's sort of figuring out like we're not necessarily going to name them this way, particularly like the metal names. Like, yes, metals are pretty important to dragons, but do they have basic roots for them, and do they relate their members of their own kind to those metals in that metaphorical way? Hi, Sentinel. So we're just hanging out. Yeah. So this is stuff for the future. This is stuff for me to be able to figure out like potentially names for each type of dragon. Just focusing on the chromatic and the metallic dragons. I'm not going to add like gem dragons and things like that because I don't think those are actually free to use. But I will be happy if somebody can correct me on that. There are a few other like dragon types that are free to use that are in the SRD, but I'm not sure if they're like actually true dragons, if they would be included in the Ndăkaga, Ndăkaga, and the Ndăkaga, right, group, the wing and dragon group. I'd have to check that out. So, anyway, hi Magpie. All right, we've got some regulars in here. So, to bring it back to what I was thinking about doing today is we have these, and I think we're going to stick with just these. And last time people were talking about also the idea that we might need some kind of a copular expression. I'm thinking probably we're going to just go with a regular copula. Okay. And the important thing that we want to do here is, how do I get my sidebar back? I guess I'm just going to have to scroll down. Have to figure out how to. File. Okay. I closed my sidebar and I don't know how to get it back now. Let's go find our post positions. So we've done all of our locative ones that we're going to do. And now we have one We have one grammatical one. And now that we have the locative ones, we can decide whether we're going to use one of these for some of these. For example, we have both a dative and a benefactive listed here. We could merge those two meanings. Both of those are a really good secondary use of which this one, ba, right? Um, the same things happens in English. To um, becomes also a way to introduce a dative, right? Or a benefactive actually. So we could maybe we want to separate it a little bit more from English and make it. Is is Riverside adding a like a it's adding a voice thingy? Yeah, it's adding a sound meter to the side of my screen. I don't understand what this new layout is about. Um, Now you can see my face big again. I'm gonna have to figure out if there's some settings I'm missing somewhere in Riverside that will allow me to control um, how my stream looks. Okay, so as I was saying, ba is a great option. A toward would be a great option for a benefactive or a dative. Comminative and instrumental, those ones probably are going to come from somewhere else, but I could take a look at, let's see, um, do I have, I can take a look and see whether World Lexicon of Grammaticalization has something to say about it. We could go looking there. Okay. Okay, this is an instrumental that becomes a from. Okay, so comminative to instrumental. I don't really like that. English has that, which I don't really like. Does this have more? Okay, apparently it's pretty common. A comminative to instrumental. Yeah, I mean it could be useful. Anyway, it's you guys know where I'm when I'm talking, so that's nice. So this is all comminative to instrumental. That's really common, huh? Comminative to a temporal. We'll go back and find other um, instrument. Okay, instrument can go to ergative, which we have an ergative case, but we never like figured out where the ergative case came from. So that's an option to figure out like where that came from and then have a post position that stayed in the instrumental meaning. Um, this is nothing. Okay. So those are some options there. We can also just kind of look around at. I don't know if they're like, does clicks have these grammatical meanings? instrumental. I think mostly clicks is just actual like content meanings. Yeah. 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 I think the thing is like the way that we rolled, we said there would be core cases and no oblique cases. So I think reusing our ergative as an instrumental would kind of go against that by creating an oblique case. But an instrumental post position that came from the same source. Let's look at what our ergative looks like. We can go take a quick look at and go to nouns and think about. Yeah, I do this all the time. I go back and forth sometimes and like reverse engineer words. It's kind of fun for me to like not always be doing these are pronouns. So we have two, because we opted for like a fusional morphology here, we actually have two different ergatives, right? We have the d suffix, and the und suffix, right? This should be und. It's an unaspirated. Yeah, we have the d and the und. So we can sort of go backwards and we can think about, okay, let's yeah. Quentin Finish has a lot of oblique cases. That was another thing that Kitchbaja showed me, because Finish has some fun things with it doesn't have any add positions, but it can use its cases derivationally with an adjective marker in a similar way to the way that Hungarian uses postpositions. And so those were the two models he gave me, and that's how I came up with this fun stuff with the epiphagy and epiphaga. Yeah. So many linguistics terms, and nobody remembers all of them. Yes, that is true. The other thing is linguistics terms tend to be very like poorly regulated and poorly defined. So if you are reading lots of grammars, which you should if you're doing conlanging, at least referencing lots of them, you're often going to find like terms that are only used in one language family or one particular tradition, and it's confusing at times. Yeah, it's so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to take one of these, and I'm going to take it that these are like the base forms, because remember these things change. Why does this become and okay, that's the right. Yeah, I was doing a double take for a second here. That's this is the that changes because it was originally a schwa. So anyway, so let's actually do this. Let's take the ergative case, and let's say that the same source for one of these two gave us the instrumental case. And I'm going to have you guys vote on which one was also instrumental. And after we decide that we can figure out, like, we can work together and reverse engineer, decide what was the original form and how that translates into what happened afterward. So let's start a poll. Which ergative inflection can you guys hear that? um, is related to the instrumental postposition. So yeah, we should have it just a regular U there. Why is that? I have this documentation is a mess. I'm going to be let's start the poll. Oh, there's not a problem. And I mean, these could be actually related. This could have been something extra onto this. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what you guys pick. Okay. It's jumping around a lot. Okay. All right. We have another person watching who could break this tie. Give you a minute to decide that. Um, the Ambient Worlds YouTube channel? No, I don't. Um, oh, interesting. Oh, so it's like ambiance tracks for a bunch of different. Ah, that's cool. Yeah. Okay. So we have T or D, right? So now we want to ask ourselves, what was this before? So let's think about it. Yeah, you probably heard me playing a little bit. I'm not gonna be like just playing a YouTube channel in the background while I'm working. But yeah, that's interesting. Um, I um, I also found a site um, that has. I was looking for this kind of thing. This has a bunch of different ones, but it's got like a science fiction one. Some of these are like, oh, fix your ADHD. Uh, I mean, if it works for people, it's fine. It's just kind of, but but I saw, where is the sci-fi one? Oh, there's interesting ones here. Like you can have a, and you can turn down certain bits. They have some presets here. Might be something for people to use in their games. I have some like ambient music I've been composing that I might end up using for, something. Uh, you want something that can keep going and going, right? But anyway, let's back to our thing. So I'm going to do a David and Jesse because I don't have a way to like generate these. So let's get into our instrumental. We know that in another life it became this D, right? So let's come up with a few. If you want, people want to throw me out some words that would work in Ndăkaga that begin with the um, just with T, and see what we can do. I can start out with like D. It would be D, but like in IPA, it's this, right? Because we have this. So let's see. D. Let's do them in IPA because these are protoforms. So D. 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 D's. D's. Yeah. So these would all end up. I don't really know. This is not going to. Another option, another thing we can have is like the to get at this unt. Where did this unt come from? Well, maybe there was something that had the and it became a compound, but somehow the N was just lost here. Um, as things happen. Yeah. Oh, a 4D color space. Uh, yeah, that might be a little bit too much work to deal with. Um, so, uh, saturation and luminosity. Oh, yeah, but you can probably start with just the color wheel stuff first and then deal with that part. Mm, I don't know. I'd have to talk that out with you, Logan, so that we could figure out. So, and then so the advantage of this is that it would obscure things a little bit more. So, so we could have that. Mhm. Yeah, it's difficult. So it's not as hard when you are dealing with creatures that have less than human abilities, which is why up front when I decided I decided they wouldn't have any speech anatomy that gave them sounds we can't pronounce because I want people to be able to pronounce it. But then when you get into creatures that have more abilities than humans, then you have to like start thinking about how to talk about things that you personally cannot understand. Things like, you know, I have the magnetoreception on dragons. I decided they have magnetoreception, right? I have to think about like how they perceive magnetic fields now and think about are they going to have a word for a magnetic force line or not. I already have a simple root for magnetic pole. That's fine, but like magnetic force lines and the directions of force lines and all that stuff. Okay, well, yeah, that's I guess that's what we would have to do. And then we could have extra white and black, which take that into account. That's something what we can do later. Right now we are working on what is our instrumental, and and we have decided that it has the same the our instrumental post position has the same source as the ergative case. And so the singular of that is D, right? So I'm playing with different ideas of where that D could come from. I kind of like actually having an N before it, so that we can actually combine the two ideas and have these actually be like a stealth relationship between this. Somehow there was a prefix at some earlier stage that got preserved into here and then not here. Um, yeah. Or it may be a form of this plural suffix got stuck into it and preserved an N that way. Um, so this is where I'm going with this. This is my idea. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't like this. Whether I would do how many options can I have for a poll? I can only have 4 options for a poll. So I like the idea of there having been a palatalized S because then we can do even more fun stuff to differentiate. So I'm going to say that there was. So I'm going to say either. Um, I like the palatalized S better than a regular S, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to have this, and I'm going to. No. Okay. So 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 here's the options that I have here. Tije versus Ntije. Tisha versus Ntisha. And this would have become as a full word, this would become Tije. This wouldn't change. And as a full word, this one would become Disha. This one would become Disha. And this one would become Dije. Not Spanish. It's not a J. Dije. So this is what I'm going with. No, I want something palatalized. So let's actually I'm going here. I'm going to make the decision that we're going to go with this here, and then I'm going to give you options for different palatalized consonants. So Ndija. Here we go. So we're going to have Ndija and with the T. And so those Dicha. And we're going to decide how these are reduced in a bit. But yeah, let's remove, just give you these. And this is the source word. So this is going to end up being reduced, possibly. So maybe we'll lose the last syllable. Maybe we'll lose the last vowel and it doesn't actually end up palatalizing. It just depends on how we want to do it. So let's go. What the source word for the instrumental postposition? And let's go with it. We've got a pretty good crowd here. Guys, share this stuff with your friends. Let's get lots of people in here. It's having a fun time. So we'll get there. We're not doing the comminative to instrumental thing, so we're not going to deal with that. Comminative is a really great one to get one of these as a secondary meaning, because we have nyade, which is beside. So we have like an alongside thing that we could do. Another thing is comminative. We haven't done anything with conjunctions yet, and it's pretty common for the comminative to also function as the conjunction and. So that's also a possibility. It's depending on how we want to go with it. So we do comminative. We've got our genitive, and we've got our we're getting our instrumental. Dative and benefactive is what we're going to be are ones that we're going to have to decide whether they're going to be separate, and then we're going to have to decide where they come from. So Let's go here. Okay, we've got 6 votes. You know, there's one more person. We can give you just another second if you want to decide. Um, I'm not sure if it's going to affect anything. Might depend on what you vote for. So let's see. Yeah, and so a 4D color space. Yeah, Logan, maybe that can be like a vocabulary building exercise for next time. We can come up with color terms. So, yeah, if you have like a, um, have, how would you even present it then? If it's a 4D space, it's gonna be, because if I'm doing colors, I would really like to be able to present it as a chart and like draw lines around what the colors can mean, if you know what I mean. Divide up the space of colors. Let's okay, let's end this. And I think everybody likes Ndisha. So so what was Ndisha? So I think so. How does this work exactly? So let's go to the instrumental ergative. Um, let's go find that. Okay, here. I remember. Yeah, so it goes from instrument to ergative. Yeah. So this started as an instrumental, right? So what can an instrumental be? Well, verbs like to use, probably things like to handle or to hold or something. Um, we can, uh, yeah, I think just to use, to hold. Do I have a verb for hold? I think hold. Or, well, when dragons use something, when dragons are using a tool, how do they do it? They do have talons that are reasonably manipulative. I don't know. I think just a generic use is probably the easiest thing to work with here. Let's say that we're going to grab this. We're going to do our things, and we'll get with the mouth, I guess. I don't think there's anything, but I mean their talents are pretty good. I'm going to do this. I'm gonna make it some kind of verb. I'll make it mean use at some point, and it may have meant something else before that, but I'm not going to worry too much about what it meant. So let's go with let's get this into Lexergy. Apply. And then we go ahead and make our table. Gundishade. Gundishade. Gundishade is I use myself. No. Yeah, let's go in here and let's make this Disha. And etymology was that. Oh. Pronunciation. Disha. And this is a transitive verb. To use. And this is, Obsidian is a little bit weird about tables, I have noticed. And I'll work out examples later. But this verb became a preposition. The key is that this verb became a preposition. And I want to keep that S in there, but I want it to be just an S. So what happened is, like, this changed before it had a chance to palatalize. So it's not ndish, it's ndis. Right? And so we end up with so this is etymologically linked to that. And I'll just say with using with an instrumental tag, so that we know this is not the comitative or using. Okay? And then that's going to expand out all kinds of things. So the instrumental is ndis. So there we have that. Now, we were thinking about a comitative. So I was thinking about the, we have beside, apu is facing. I don't like facing so much. Nyade or nyade is probably works better, something beside. And then, like, there's so many, like, metaphor, like life experience metaphors for a dragon that would work. Because, like, if they're flying together, they might be flying side by side, right? So that can be an option there. Um, so here's what I will do. I think if we do one of these, it's going to be nyade. But we could also go and get a separate word. So we have a word verb for to follow. We have ikif. Um, so you could have something derived from that. Um, or we have lead. Yeah, we have leader. Kage. Kage is the head or the front or the leader. That doesn't really work. I think ikef is to follow or to obey. It doesn't really fit as well as the side by side, but it can work. One of the Chinese words, gun, is like also means follow, right? So it can work. Let's put that to a vote. So here's what I'm going to say. What is the source of the comitative postposition? And is it nyade, beside, or is it ike, which means to follow? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. So the 2D hue space. Yeah, we can do work with that, and then I can. Yeah, we can do hue and saturation in different ways. Okay. I love how I post a poll and then my viewers goes up. Some people have this on the background, and then I have an interaction, and they're like, oh, I got to do this. Okay. Anybody want to do anything different? Okay. We've had this poll up for a bit. Okay. So we end the poll. Okay, so we've got nyade 1. So that means I just add another sense for nyade. 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 And then I'm going to have one last poll here for this particular one. Does Nyade also mean and? Are people able to take their votes back? We got some fights going on. We got a fight going on this one. This is a little bit more contentious, huh? Okay, we got some more people here. Get your votes in. You don't see, what do you mean you don't see that option? Oh, for taking the votes away? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe people like vote and then get kicked off the stream by accident or something. See. Yeah. Okay. Looks like everybody has voted. So let's end it. And y'all said yeah. Okay. So how am I going to do this? So and, but that's a conjunction. And this should be 3. Yeah. So I can do that. Okay. Yeah, I'll just keep that as that, and I will get that. It's really interesting when a language does it this way. I'm going to have to think very carefully about how I make an example for this, because very often it becomes ambiguous how you would translate it. At least in Chinese, which is the language I'm most familiar with that does this, it's kind of difficult to know whether this particular one should be translated as and or with, because, and that's probably why it's pretty common for languages to make these the same meaning. It just ends up being that way. They end up getting confused a lot, and then people just decide to give up and say they do mean the same thing. So it's also interesting. So we have our comitative, and that is going to be nyade. So, yeah. So, I think I want to have a benefactive and dative, and let's decide on whether they're going to be the same first, because that can inform how we're going to do the rest of it. So I'm going to go, let's ask you guys, Because I can go either way on this one, and I'm not really sure, like, will the active and dative be the same postposition or different ones? So, and I'll make the option same, different. So just for by way of explanation for people who might not know. So a dative is like I give something to you, I do something to you. This is the classic indirect object in English, right? Usually it's something else that receives the action, something that receives the action. Benefactive is similar, but it's not necessarily that they receive the action, but rather that the action occurs for their benefit. In English, we use the preposition for a lot for a benefactive, meaning I I made I made up a schedule for my daughter. It's not necessarily that I'm making, yeah, I am giving the schedule to her, but it's also I made it for her benefit in order that she would be able to do something with it. It's a very subtle difference in meaning that can go in interesting ways, but you can I feel that you can just make it the same and it would make sense in context. You can make it different and then you can have some interesting interplay between the two post positions in how they end up getting used. Let's see. Let's wait for people to vote. So we've got this ngade. I can list all of these locatives. Have interesting that we don't actually have a general locative. Like we don't have an equivalent for at in English. Um, and even then, the but at also has a meaning of to or toward. But so anyway, so we have ja ja in front of, well, let's just do ja ape jenge apim ngade he 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 fa kit she she apu apukit ba agi. Those are all of the different locative ones. Okay, so We've got 5 votes. Okay, I think that should be enough time for y'all to decide, so I will go there. Okay, so if they're going to be the same, if our, so we have a dative slash benefactive. So we have options here. The most clear one that I would have would be the toward one here, which would be ba. So we could have ba, or we could, I don't know what in my dictionary I would even use for it. So we can go with ba and have more reuse of these, or we can go with a new route, and we would just like figure out what that would be. So let's go. A good option would be a verb that means to give, right? Other ones would be like, I don't know. It could be a bunch of different things. So, but I'm gonna say, what will be our dative benefactive post position? So, are we just going to use ba to toward, or will we create a new route? Okay. And okay. Okay, we got 3 votes in. And by the way, the next thing that we're going to do is deal with the ideas of how we're going to do a copular expression with postposition. So we'll deal with that in a bit. Wait, just a little bit. See what we've got. Okay, we've got 4 votes. Okay. It seems like you guys really like just using ba. So we'll just use ba. And so I add another meaning to ba. I worked on the case system. Which one was that? Was that just episode one or two? It was pretty early on that we figured out the case system and that was basically all I did for nouns then. I've done some derivation work on derivation since that then on my own in order to facilitate my lexicon building. But it's not something I have done a whole lot of on stream. So yeah, the case system was figured out a while ago. Uh, we did, I think we did nouns and then we did verbs. And now, like postpositions, we've done nouns, we've done verbs, we've done adjectives. And I think the postpositions are the last major word class that I need to have in place. And then we're going to be working on more syntactic constructions, which I'll get to one today, but we'll get there. So let's look up ba. That's the most difficult one to ever look up in my dictionary. So let's two. Is it even there? Did I not add it yet? Okay, yeah, toward. And apologies for this. Yeah, and then okay. Yeah. Benefactive slash malefactive, maybe. Um, so, we will go ahead and have that is how ba is used at the basic. This is not going to be the end of the postpositions necessarily, because I have to also figure out how these relate to temporal meanings and such. I'm not sure if I will do that on stream. That's kind of be getting into conceptual metaphors and that kind of thing. Might, but it's probably going to be a little bit into the future. For now, last week, some people were asking about doing example sentences, and I realized that I had not worked out any copular expressions, and I need that to sort out how that's going to work. And people had some interesting ideas of just like inflecting the prepositions, the postpositions as verbs. I've done inflecting prepositions in a previous language, so I'm not really like keen on doing that again right now. And also I've done like copular affixes and stuff, and I'm feeling for this language, especially since like we have like three distinct word classes already. I'm really feeling just regular copulas. Maybe I will do a ser estar split for those of you who speak Spanish or are familiar with what I'm talking about. In Spanish, you have two copulas. Ser is for properties of something, and estar is for states, temporal states. So that could be something that we could run into, huh? So we can let's go under that assumption. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, a good one for the like Istar version, right? For the one for states in like Istar itself came from a verb meaning to stand, and that kind of would work, I think. I'm not sure with dragons being quadrupeds, would they reach for a verb meaning stand, or would they reach for a verb that means something else? That's the question. Like they still stand, right? And it's a verb that means that you're like actively engaged, but you are still. So it's a really cool verb to do that. There's also a thing of how inflections are going to work for this because with polypersonal agreement, I just like get confused about how to mark things because there's not actually a subject and an object when you do coordinating nouns. But if we're talking about with postpositions, then definitely we can handle that. So let's go. Let's do the thing with the lexifer, and let's generate some roots for a verb that at some point met stand. Maybe it still means stand. Maybe it doesn't. Okay, so we've got pa, afif, afif, afif. I don't like afif is like a weird word. Pa, afif, it, that would become uh, ecap, eka, eka. Of those, I like egap and eka. Let's pull these into here and see what happens to them. Egab, 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 and eke. Eke. Oh, okay, it becomes eke. Eke kind of works. Egab, egab. Circle. Oh, to circle. So as it, oh yes, that's nice. Instead of stand, it meant circle. Yes. I like that idea, Sentinel. That's what it was then. Um, and also that means that it was transitive. Or no, we can make it intransitive, but we can do something. Uh, what one of these would it be? We don't have an around, so this is where I have to get creative. I never even thought about around. So we have to think about where is the um, um, Yeah. No, there's cool things I can do with that idea. So I'm going to take that suggestion, Sentinel. So uh, um, well, you circle they would circle above things, right? So it wouldn't be a surround. My surrounding one is missing. Did I accidentally delete it? I must have accidentally deleted it. But it's not that. Yeah. Yeah. Do I have a verb to surround? Yeah. Gwen, I think we're just going to do that for the estar verb was to circle, and then um we can do something else for the other one. Let's let's okay. I'm not gonna do. I like these two verbs. I like these two, and I'm going to get the so I'm going to have so where can I put this? Okay. Um, this copulas are igab. Ike. Yes, I'm just sticking Spanish words into my document because it's just my notes. Um, oh, what's the program? It's called Obsidian. It's a pro. It lets you do a personal wiki. You can pay them to also sync it to your phone, but I'm haven't done that yet. You can also pay them to publish it, but I like this because I can do my cross linking. So when I have words that are derived from another word, that's how I keep track of my etymologies. Um, or also like certain like cases where something is connected. And a cool thing that it does is let me go to my files. Let me make sure there's nothing extra. Okay. So let me see. How do I open up the map? Um, it has this thing which shows all of my connections um, between uh, between different things. So you can see Epiphagia. It has connections to all of the different things, but also EP itself is connected to a bunch of words. The Fa is connected to a bunch. The Ga, the Ge is connected to several words, and and I can even also, just as a fun thing, see how it's developed over time. So we started out with a bunch of individual words. You see some connections forming and building up more complex structures as I have more words that are related to each other. And then we eventually will get to the current state of the lexicon uh, in order in just a moment. There it is, with starting to get some complex structures with just 114 words so far, right? Yeah, so I highly recommend. You can use Obsidian for a lot of things. It's just wiki software. It works like similar to Wikipedia, so you can cross-link things and everything. Um, uh, it, no sponsorship or anything, but I highly recommend this as something that you can use in your own conlanging process. It's probably the best iteration of it's probably the best conlang dictionary stuff software that I've used, even though it's not really meant specifically for dictionaries. So anyway, that aside, so we have this. Let me get the inflections, and we will go with this. Even when we're just doing regular old verbal copulae, we have some interesting things to do. It's called obsidian. Here, I'll type it in the chat. Obsidian. So you can look that up. And it's, yeah, yeah. It's very, very handy. So let's go here. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Speak up. So these are the different inflections for it. Yeah, spreadsheets can be useful if you are, I've used it when I'm doing a language family, because then you can have like the entry and a column for the form and definition in each daughter language. But it's not really that great for a dictionary, because like, what are you going to do if you have a word like this that has 4 different definitions? It's kind of hard to keep track of that within a spreadsheet, because it's not designed for that kind of data. Yeah, so let's get, so okay, we'll just go type it in manually. Ndăkaga etymology. Ndăkaga circle. So I think it still means circle sometimes, but it also means be okay. And oh, I need to take this to intransitive. And then I'm going to have a usage note here. And so for predicate nouns, what do you call the nouns must take the post position Love is cute. Cute. And then, do I have anything? Do I have any nouns that can be like a temporal state? I need to figure out. Well, so I have an adjective that means young, right? Soft. Have corpse. Thinking about. So with an adjective, it's not a big deal. It's a predicate adjective. It's just going to be. Okay, I'll have to get some more words, I think. Me look through here. Use, I forget is use, and that's not what I want. Ndăkaga specifically is the name of the language. What are you? But if we could do that. Let's search for nouns. But the in fact, how about we do this is kind of a threatening one, but this is what I have. And we'll go with Baduf. So Higab. Oh, okay. All right. So dragon. Yeah, I'm trying to think about what exactly the ga. So Ndăkaga is the name of the language, and that's something that was invented by humans. They call them the dragons call themselves Ndăkaga. Ndăkaga. Ndapa means having wings, and then ga is like this general term. I think it's going to mean not like that broad of just like being in general, but like dragons and some other things like them, like sort of other like large reptilian creatures like the dragon turtle and sea serpents and that kind of thing. but they differentiate themselves specifically as Ndăkaga, which means the winged dragons. Um, and then humans picked up on some humanoid wizard got picked up on that, and then the fact that their language is called Kaga. So Kaga just means voice, so they might differentiate and say Ndăkaga, right? But some humanoid got that and heard that and kind of like mashed it all up together in his head and started saying Ndăkaga, which dragons kind of the ancient dragons kind of hate because it doesn't make any sense. Just with a wing voice, what are you talking about? But it's stuck for wizards, which are the people who are. I'm kind of, I'm writing from the perspective of dragons right now, but this is eventually going to be like used for spells and stuff. Okay, so let me get the my. I want to use the free. Yeah, I'm going to use the free pronoun for emphasis. So ta. So if we have ta badaf and t gab, and let me see what the appropriate modal affixes are going to be on this one. Oh wait, no, I can do this. Right. So how do I do like a future event that is relatively certain? Might, yeah, so perfective with a modal. I think G. Tigab. G. I don't have a will. I think I can. I can go with ick. Um This usually means must, but in this case, it's being used to make to say something about the future that's relatively certain. So it's you will, and okay, so badaf, and it needs to have kit, right? You will be meet, which you guys can understand like what is meant by that. So ta badaf kit ti tigabaji tigabaji ik. You will be meat. And the key thing is it needed this kit after badaf. Is badaf kit, it's literally you will circle around being meat. Right? More a more literal translation would be you must circle around being meat, but the meaning is you will be meat. And then eke is not going to work the same way. Eke, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with that. Yeah, so you not circle around, circle above. You circle above. So if you have a predicate noun, that's what has to happen. It can't actually do that. But if you have any other postposition, locative postposition, that's gonna always take the egab unless you have another verb that's more appropriate, right? You'd have so that's a little bit of fun with how postpositions are working. And then eke, I think eke is just going to inflect as an intransitive, but you can just put two nouns together with eke and it will be understood. The two nouns in the nominative with eke, it will be understood as an identity relationship. So I will just and is it eke or ege? Let me check my notes here. Okay. Where did I put that? It's in constructions. Yeah. Eke. Really? Okay. Let me grab the original thing. Yeah, it's ekia. That is the etymon. So I don't think it does anything fun though. So we're gonna grab this. Ekia. And get this in here. XCG. And there, and then I will document this here. Etymology. Ekia, and maybe it was ekia, and maybe it was just always meant like to be ek, and it becomes eke. And then we have and let's get this in here. Delete the row. And let's just to get an example here. Yeah. Let's do a Ndăkaga. Ubeke. There we go. Okay, and thank you all for watching. I think next time I feel happy about the post positions as they exist. There might be a case where I add one or two on my own. I don't know if I'm going to work on like the temporal extensions and other like metaphorical extensions on stream or just do it on my own. We'll see. But I think next time I'm going to have to work up some more tables, and we're going to have to start working on some broader syntactic constructions. Think about negation, questions, maybe some dependent clauses, that kind of thing, so that we can start getting this language into a state where we can just say anything we want. And on my own, I'm going to be doing some more word building. I've done a little bit of derivation work. I'll probably continue doing that on my own, but we'll get some more grammar stuff done next time. So, thank you all, and happy conlanging.